Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today you're checking out my brand new Stamina Templar PVP build, calling this the Executioner, for the simple reason that we have just tons of burst and execute damage. 3 different skills that you can kill your opponent with all at once, so the potential for damage is pretty much off the charts. You can basically lead your team and get the most amount of kills if you play it the right way. So we'll go over everything you need to know, from the sets to the skills to the champion points and more, coming up next. Alright, so let's jump into the stats first. We've got everything into stamina, and we're looking at about 10k max magicka, 17k health, that'll be about 20k in PvP, 33, almost 34k stamina. Our stamina recovery is coming in at 1600, but it's actually quite a bit more when we talk about a potion and one of the other skills that we have access to. The weapon damage that we have sort of as a baseline is 4k, but we are using an infused weapon damage enchant on the back bar bow, so that'll get over 4.5, close to 4.6k weapon damage. We do have a crit buff, so about 40% crit is looking good. And our defensive stats are actually pretty darn good on Templar. 29, almost 30k spell resist, 26, basically 27k physical resist, and 2400 crit resist. So that's pretty darn good. Not to mention the passives that we have, which we'll get into later, but this is one tanky build for sure. Everything into stamina here, 64 points. I am using the Warrior Mundus for a bit extra weapon damage. I'm using Dubious as the drink, and that has to do with one of our sets, so this is kind of needed. If you want to go with the setup, Dubious is definitely the way to go. For my race, I actually chose Redguard, and that's just kind of, I don't know why I did that. I just wanted to play a Redguard. I haven't done it in a while. I would say that the best choice would probably be Orc. That would be my number 1 choice. Number 2 would be maybe Nord or Khajiit, and Redguard might be third. It's not a huge difference either way, so you can choose what you prefer as far as the race that you play. And then for potions, I'm just using basic tri-stat potions. That gets our recoveries up pretty good, 1800 stam recovery, you can see. Jumping into the sets next, this is where it starts to get interesting. So the base set that we're using, the basic 5-piece, is going to be Bone Pirate, and that's just because we get tons of overall stats. You can see 2 stamina bonuses, 1 recovery bonus, and that nice max stam and stamina recovery bonus on the 5th piece. So I do really like this. It lets me, as a Stamina Templar, run full weapon damage glyphs, and that's really the reason why I chose this over any other set like Hulking Draugr or something that would give me more stamina. I like the extra recovery just because, again, I can run more weapon damage, and that's really useful in PvP. So we're using Bone Pirate on the chest. One of the body pieces, I've got the bracers here, and then 3 jewelry. So I've got the necklace and 2 rings. I haven't golded these out yet, but that would be ideal. I'm using 1 infused ring, 2 robust rings. I'm sorry, the infused neck and 2 robust rings, all weapon damage. So you can see we're getting a nice bit of weapon damage from those. So that's our first 5-piece set. The second set, no big surprise here. I'm using Fortified Brass again because it's just so good on a stamina class that's already tanky like the Templar is. You can see we get a good bit of health, physical, spell resistance, and then a ton of physical and spell on the 5-piece set. So this really is the way to go, I think, for Stamina Templar. Maybe some other classes too, like Stamina Nightblade, Stamina Warden. You'll get a lot of bang for your buck out of this. Just the pure like defensive stats on this makes you really hard to kill, really tanky. So I wouldn't drop this set for anything. I haven't found a good replacement for this yet. So I am using this on the other 5-piece. It is crafted from Clockwork City, so the nice thing about that is you can craft whatever pieces you need and whatever traits you need. So I am using 3 body pieces, I think. So boots, guards, and belt, and those are all in medium. And then I am using this on my weapons as well to make up the 5-piece. So I've got Greatsword front bar, That's a Nerdhoned Fortified Brass Greatsword. And then I've got an infused bow on the back bar, also fortified brass, and that's just so we can make sure that we have that 5-piece bonus on both bars. Very important. I'm using just a double damage poison. You can run any kind of poison you want here. And then on the back, I think I mentioned it, the infused weapon damage glyph is super important just to help us get that extra bit of damage and burst. This is what'll get us over 4.5k weapon damage. Let's see, and then for the final set, I decided to change it up a little bit, and this just goes more with the theme of the build, which you'll see when we get to sets. It's really focused on cleave damage, AoE damage, so Veldreth made a lot of sense to me because it's doing more of an AoE damage pressure. And so you have a 20% chance to spawn these disease spores. They do about 13k damage, which does a decent amount of damage. If you have this go off in the middle of your jabs, in the middle of your Dawnbreaker, in the middle of your reverse slice, it does a lot of extra damage and just helps you finish off your opponent. So really good monster set. You could use Celine's is what I've run in the past. That's also a very good set, but that is just single target. So you can, if you want. You can also do Troll King if you're having trouble staying alive. That will help you a lot. I do like the extra weapon damage here on the one piece. That is nice. As far as the traits here, I tried to go as much impen as I could. So my recommendation would be 5 pieces impen, 2 well fitted if you can do that. If not, just try to get as much impen as you can. The red guard gives me some better sustain, but I have low health, so that's why I've had to add health to a couple extra pieces. I have a tri-enchant on the chest, and then I have a full health glyph on the legs, but everything else is stamina, and this just gets my health up to 20k, which I think is a really good benchmark for a stamina class in PvP. Alright, jumping into the skills next. On the front bar, we're running that two-hander, remember, so I've got Reverse Slice, just a great execute skill. You could run Executioner, which is the name of this build, but I like the extra splash damage on this skill. Very low cost, so it's really nice in no CP battlegrounds especially. Next up, we've got Stampede. This is going to be our gap closer. And if you checked out my last Stamina Templar build, I used to run Speed Potions. Speed Potions got nerfed, so that kind of makes it necessary to run a gap closer in Murkmire. Stampede is really good because it slows down the target. You can see that snare. 60% snare is really strong for 4 seconds. That gives you just enough time to pull off your burst combo, so totally necessary skill. You need this on your front bar to close the gap. Power of the Light is next. This is part of our execute burst. This does just a ton of damage to the enemy after 6 seconds because not only does it copy your damage, it copies any damage that they're taking. All of their damage taken for 6 seconds gets copied to them. So it just annihilates people, especially if they're taking damage in a group situation. So this combined with our our reverse slice, you can time it so right at about 5 seconds you start hitting Executioner, reverse slice, and you get that burst from Power of the Light as well as your execute skill. Pretty much it's going to kill anybody. Does tons of damage. Biting Jabs is your spammable here. Great skill. Cannot complain. It gives us Major Savagery, which is our 10% crit bonus. It also got a crazy buff with Murkmire, which is, let's see if I can find it here. Spear Wall now gives you minor protection anytime you use that ability. So minor protection anytime you're doing damage with your jabs. You can see on my buff icon down there at the bottom, I have minor protection going now. Really nice for making this already super tanky build even tankier. Pretty crazy. And then Rally is our heal, just a burst heal, and gives us that Major Brutality as well. So having this up all the time is very necessary. You could use forward momentum, but I found that I do not need it quite as much on Stamina Templar because we have a purge skill, but it can be up to you. If you do run forward momentum, you might want to, instead of Celine's, use a healing monster set like Troll King just to help you balance that healing a little bit better. Dawnbreaker of Smiting is the classic ultimate for Stamina Templar. It does tons of damage, tons of burst, and really helps. Save it for groups though, if you can, because you get that AoE burst. Alright, so then let's move on to the back bar, which is our bow bar. And this is what I'm really excited about. If you guys have never tried a two-handed bow Stamina Templar, you should definitely try it in Murkmire patch. And I'll give you three really good reasons why. Number one is you can run Poison Injection on your back bar. This is, when I talked about, we have 3 basic execute skills that can all go off at the same time. We've got Reverse Slice, we've got Power of the Light, so you should be combining these on your front bar. But on the back bar, you should have already hit them with Poison Injection. And if we look at this, the damage over time deals up to a lot of extra damage to enemies under 50% health. So this is actually our 3rd execute skill, Poison Injection. It's really powerful on this build, combined with, again, Power of the Light and Reverse Slice. Second reason why you want to run a bow bar is, like I mentioned, that infused Berserker enchant on the bow gives you, again, 450 or so weapon damage every 5 seconds. You should have that up 100% of the time. Super strong. That's another good reason to run bow. The other really good reason to run bow this patch in Murkmire is speed potions are basically no longer a thing. They're no longer viable, I think. So what bow gives us is it gives us on-demand major expedition for 4 seconds. And I know 4 seconds doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're in the middle of the fight and you're in trouble, roll dodging and then getting that speed for 4 seconds is enough to get you out of there, get you some line of sight, and basically save you from dying. So I think a lot more stamina builds are going to be moving to back bar bow in the future in PvP, just because that major expedition, it's not totally free. I mean, you do have to do the dodge roll, but I mean, while you're dodge rolling, you're not getting hit. So it's kind of a win-win, I think. So I decided to try it out this patch. I'm very glad I did. It's really strong, both defensively and offensively, using that bow on the back. Definitely try it out if you have not. So what else do we have here? We've got Repentance, which is just a really good skill for sustain. Gives you that extra health and stamina for every corpse. This really goes with the Stamina Templar playstyle, getting lots of kills, and then as soon as you get a kill, swapping Repentance, do your light attack Poison Injection, and then go back to offense. So I run that all the time on the back bar. Really great skill. Resolving Vigor, this is just our heal over time. Definitely need that to help supplement our rally. Extended Ritual is really still a great skill for Stamina Templar. It'll purge you any dots that are eating away at your health. Very useful to have. Don't spam it though, because it is costly. And then Restoring Focus got another buff this patch in Murkmire. Gives you, as it has before, Major Resolve, Major Ward. You get the extra resistance, so extra physical and spell resistance by 50%. That's why when we're in this, we get almost 30k physical and spell resistance, which is crazy. But now it's even better because we get 240 stamina every 1 second. That's almost, basically with a potion buff and everything we've got, that's 500 stamina recovery on this buff, which is insane. This is crazy. This makes Stamina Templar even more powerful than ever, so make sure you're running this, and then just keep that buff up every 20 seconds. Get your 500 stam recovery. It's really good. That's why we can run full weapon damage glyphs and still have really, really good recovery. Even if it's not here on the stat sheet, you're going to feel it. And then finally, we've got Empowering Sweep as the ultimate. And this got a buff as well. You now get major protection for 6 seconds. And the duration is increased by 1 second for every enemy hit. So this skill is really nice. I like the fact that it's lower cost. So if I don't have the 120 for Dawnbreaker, I probably will have 70 for major protection, basically. So you can use this a lot. The damage is not great, but you're just using it, you know, for the defensive buff. You get that major protection. You can see I don't even need a target. Now I have major protection and I have minor protection from jabs, so it's crazy. This with our resistances makes us super tanky, really hard to kill. So just taking a quick look at the CP allocation here. This is what I would recommend. I don't really play champion point PvP anymore, but I think this would be pretty decent. And this is updated for 810 in Murkmire. So I went with 40 into Warlord, 35 Sprinter, 2 into Bashing. I just had some left over. 75 Mooncalf, 32 in Arcanist. I actually took it out of Tenacity and I put it 32 into Healthy just because Stamina Sustain and Magicka Sustain is really not an issue at all. So why not boost your health recovery a little bit? Then 20 into Shadow Ward, 34 Tumbling. 32 into Bless, so just some extra healing is nice. 56 Master at Arms. 21 Physical Weapon Expert, 11 into Shattering Blows. 51 Thaumaturge, 23 Precise Strikes, 33 Piercing, 43 Mighty, 51 into Ironclad. I put 40 in Resistant, 64 and 56 into Hardy and Elemental, 16 into Thick Skin because you can just purge damage over time anyways, and 43 into Quick Recovery. So I just wanted to share a couple quick tips on how the build works. Obviously first you'll want to maintain your buffs, which is basically your Rune and your Rally. And then you always want to start on that back bar bow. And the way you're going to engage every time is a light attack into Poison Injection, and that'll make sure you proc that weapon damage glyph, as well as get that damage over time effect going. So it looks basically like this. So you get both of those. You can see we get the 5-second weapon damage buff as well. So once you got that down, you want to try to animation cancel that as quick as you can. Light attack into Poison Injection. You want to bar swap and then Power of the Light. That'll be the next step. You can see once that goes off, it's just a bomb. It's just a ton of damage. So once you have those 3 things going, you want to switch to jabs, and this is going to really help you with those tankier targets to get their health down if you need to. So light attack, Poison Injection, Power of the Light into jabs if they're close, and if not, you can obviously gap close. So let me show you what that would look like. Into our gap closer and then jabs from there. You can see my target died before I even got to my reverse slice. So obviously if the target lives that long, which a lot will not, that's going to be your last step to your reverse slice right there. And then remember, the main thing on Stamina Templar is you want to always run Repentance on the back. So anytime you do get a kill, or even if you don't get the kill and there's bodies dropping in the area, make sure you get that to get the stamina back. So one more time. Gap close, jabs, execute. And that's how you do it. Alright everybody, so that's going to wrap it up for the new Stamina Templar build, the Executioner. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a try if you get a chance. Stamina Templar and Magicka Templar are super powerful in the Murkmire patch with all the buffs that the class has gotten. So I'd appreciate your thoughts. Any comments, leave them in the section down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And until then, I'll see you guys around in the next video. Peace.